This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. October 10th is World Mental Health Day, and this year we're saying thank you, therapists. BetterHelp therapists have helped over 5 million people worldwide on their mental health journeys. That's millions of stories, millions of journeys, and behind every one is a therapist who showed up, listened, and helped someone take a step forward. Moments in therapy, like the right question, a safe space to cry, or a small win, can change lives. This World Mental Health Day, BetterHelp is honoring those connections and the therapists who make them possible, while showing how easy it is to get guidance from a licensed therapist online with BetterHelp. With over 30,000 therapists, BetterHelp is the world's largest online therapy platform, having served over 5 million people globally. And it works with an average rating of 4.9 out of 5 for a live session based on over 1.7 million client reviews. This World Mental Health Day, we're celebrating the therapists who've helped millions of people take a step forward. If you're ready to find the right therapist for you, BetterHelp can help you start that journey. Our listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/PFF. That's betterhelp.com/PFF. All right, let's get to the Saturday slate right now with one of 5 ranked matchups that we have on Saturday. First one, number 10 LSU at number 17 Vanderbilt. Again, noon Eastern time on ABC. The storyline to know in this game is the loser of this game might not have any wiggle room left to make the college football playoff. Both LSU and Vanderbilt are both 5-1 to start their season. Both still have very difficult games left on their schedules. But the winner of this game could feasibly lose one of those remaining games and still make the playoff. The loser of this game would essentially need to run the table to make the college football playoff, because remember, no teams last year that were 9-3 in the year made the playoff last year. So the winner of this game still has one more loss they could suffer. The loser of this game might have to run the table against a very difficult schedule.
And both teams with very interesting weeks the last couple weeks. Vanderbilt in their last game 2 weeks ago against Alabama played a solid football game but couldn't finish drives, and a couple red zone turnovers really hurt them. And then LSU bouncing back this past week against South Carolina. Still some offensive concerns. Only beat them 20-10, but got the run game going just enough to get through a hard-fought game like that. Garrett Nussmeier really battling right now. You could see him limping around last Saturday against South Carolina. So I think you have a really fascinating game, and what's going to be probably a very raucous environment LSU's going into there in Nashville with Vanderbilt and the momentum they've had going the last year and a half.
Yeah, Vanderbilt favored over LSU right now. We'll get to the prediction later on in the show. Dalton, you have the Vanderbilt offense with the electric quarterback Diego Pavia against what has been an elite LSU secondary this year. What are you looking at on that side of the ball?
So I think, 2 weeks ago when we previewed Vanderbilt against Alabama, I talked a lot about the passing game and the improvement in the drop-back passing game and Diego Pavia and just how good he's been, right, which is fantastic. But at the end of the day, I think in this matchup with LSU having one of the best secondaries in the country, that is the reason they are 5-1. That is the reason they've won all these low-scoring games is A.J. Halsey and Tamarcus Cooley and Mansour Delane in this secondary have been outstanding, especially preventing deep shots. So I think this is a week for Vanderbilt. Not that they ever get away from it, but this is a week to really ride the foundation of their running game, right? I mean, you talk about all the option football, Cedric Alexander, Diego Pavia, the pulling guards, all the schemes, everything like that. Look, Vanderbilt this year, they're 28th in rushing grade. They're 3rd in yards per carry. Max, they are 1st in yards before contact per carry, which tells you all the schemes are working constantly, and you still have to respect this passing game. You can't just put 9 guys in the box and load this up. And LSU, this is an interesting dynamic because I think this Vandy offense is even better than it was last year. The way that LSU attacked Vanderbilt in the run game last year is getting super, super aggressive. Basically, just have a guy sprint at Diego Pavia every single play. We'll see if they can approach it the same way this year. And a big factor, too, in this game is the fact that Harold Perkins is playing this time. He didn't play in this game last year. So the big thing for me in this game is a couple things. Perkins, Whit Weeks, Devon Kiesel's linebackers on that second level, those are the guys that get stressed out the most playing against Vanderbilt, because you see so often that the schemes work and the linebackers get lost and they can't find the football, and that's why they lead the nation in yards before contact per carry. So you have all this open space because second-level defenders are just lost with the option game and all the pulling guards and everything like that. Now, LSU, okay, very, very good at defending the edges, okay? Harold Perkins at that star position really helps you in the option game because he can chase down almost any quarterback in the country. Very good at defending the edges. But between the tackles, they're just 90th in yards per carry allowed. Okay, 5.1 yards per carry allowed when runs get between the tackles. I think this game really comes down to, on this side of the ball, all of Vandy's foundational run schemes and all the fun stuff, on the creative stuff that Tim Beck puts together against LSU's linebackers. If LSU's linebackers can stay disciplined and find the football early in plays, they're going to be okay on defense. You know, if Harold Perkins and Whit Weeks and these guys get undisciplined and they start crashing too hard and Vandy works around them for those explosive runs, they're going to have an issue. That's really the matchup I'm watching for, is those schemes and how those guys can find the football at the second level against this run game, because Vandy losing the time of possession so badly against Alabama, that's really why they lost the game. They want to come in here and control this football game with the run game.
Yeah, I'm looking at the run game as well for LSU and whether or not they can find it once again against Vanderbilt, because LSU has been extremely reliant on Garrett Nussmeier this season. They throw the ball at about 59% of their plays, as the 13th highest rate in the entire Power 4, mainly because LSU has the 5th worst rushing grade in the Power 4 and the 6th worst run blocking grade in the Power 4 this season too. But the Tigers did have their best rushing performance of the year this past weekend against South Carolina. They ran for a season-high 165 yards in the win, with 143 yards coming after contact. Caden Durham led the way with 70 rushing yards in that game, but true sophomore Jawan Johnson also ran for a career-high 65 yards on only 5 carries as well, so averaging 13 yards per carry in that win over South Carolina. Vanderbilt's run defense has been pretty average this year. Right now, they're 53rd in yards per attempt allowed at 4.5. 3 of those yards come after contact, which is 70th in the FBS too. LSU needs to exploit that, so Vanderbilt cannot sit back in their zone coverage all day and dare Garrett Nussmeier to beat them. If they can force Vanderbilt to commit more defenders in the box, that will open up some avenues for Garrett Nussmeier to win through the air as a passer.
And you're talking about more modest totals than we would talk about for an elite rushing team like a Vanderbilt. Even when you talk about, okay, last week against South Carolina, they ran for 165 yards. Last year against Vanderbilt, they ran for 145. That's all we're really looking for from LSU, is you just can't have those games where you're running for 60 or 70 yards and everything is on Garrett Nussmeier to drop back 55, 60 times. If they have just a little bit of balance, everything else starts to work. You get the ball to the outside, you get it to Trey'Dez Green, who had a fantastic game last week. You get it to Xavion Thomas, and if Aaron Anderson's healthy this week, I mean, they've got weapons to work with, but anytime you're one-dimensional, offense gets really, really hard, right? And it's been hard for LSU to score points this year because they have been so one-dimensional for so many games. But last week was an encouraging sign. If they can balance this thing out and control possession a little bit better, like Alabama did to Vanderbilt 2 weeks ago, then you talk about this thing tilting in LSU's favor.
Definitely. All right, Dalton, and what could be a huge game for the college football playoff hopes for both programs. Who will win between LSU and Vanderbilt in this top 20 showdown?
This is tough because this is the first of a million games here that, I think are right on the fence.
Yep.
And you know, I do think there is a reason that Vanderbilt is favored. They did not look that bad at Alabama outside of the 2 red zone turnovers that really hurt them, right? They could have gone into Alabama and played just a little bit better and won that game, and their offense has been electric all year, right? LSU, on the other hand, defense has been outstanding, especially the secondary, but they have struggled to score. I don't think there's any question about that. They've struggled to score 20 points on South Carolina. They're winning games 20-10 and 24-13 and things like that. I think Vanderbilt at home especially, I think they're going to be pretty comfortable, and as long as they can get their run game going pretty early, this was only a 7-point game last year when LSU beat them. I think Vandy's even better this year. I'm going to take them to get it done at home 24-20. Give me the Commodores.
I'm actually going to the opposite side here. I'm going LSU to win this game 27-24. I think Diego Pavia will struggle to get much going as LSU's elite secondary in this game, and I think LSU will play enough complementary football on offense to escape Nashville with a close win. But like Dalton said, this should be an incredible ball game at noon. It's like a 50-50 coin toss, like a lot of other games this weekend. But I'll go with LSU 27-24 over Vanderbilt, which should be an awesome game between 2 top 20 teams in the SEC right now.